Hello, I'm here with Andy Ivankovich from Upper Room Technologies, and we're going to be talking some today about a new technology that they have developed that they're being able to use with multi-site churches and other churches that want to use live streaming. So welcome, Andy. Glad you're here, and we're looking forward to having a chance to visit with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here.
Andy, tell us a little bit about Upper Room Technologies. What's that all about?
Sure. Well, it's one of the stories that you probably hear a lot in ministry where, you got a church and you start volunteering with some of your skill sets, and then some other churches start knocking on the doors. And so back in 2006, my wife and I were attending Oak Hills Church where Max Lucado preaches, and we got pretty inspired to help out with our small group team. And my small groups pastor asked what I did, and I said that I did technology with a large financial services company. And he said, well, we got these issues going on with small groups and trying to make sure that we get all the folks plugged into the right place. But by the time we print something, it's already outdated. And during that time, Yahoo and Google Maps were just coming online where you could tap into their APIs and you could do some pretty cool group mapping. And this was before Facebook. And so we got started with that and never intended to quit my job. And, as I'm working, we're getting phone calls from all over the nation. So we decided to start Upper Room Technologies back in '06. And since then, we've developed a pretty unique company based here in San Antonio, Texas, that helps out with both on the strategy and product design, but also development and programming for churches and ministry. And so we've been able to help folks from Bible Study Fellowship all the way down to Zondervan and some of the bigger publishers, and of course churches all over the world. So it's been a pretty exciting road.
So you guys are around ministry and around technology. So tell us, what are some of the trends you're seeing in that space?
Yeah, sure. We did a lot of work early on. There are devices that called Roku, R-O-K-U. It's a device that Netflix has started that was really the online leader for getting content into a home. We were the first ones to develop a channel actually for our home church, Oak Hills Church, with Max on it. And we started seeing things where in order to get content into Roku and to other places, you had to have this hub of data and archive video. And so what we've seen trending lately is the explosion of what we've seen with online ministry. Some new innovations, every day that are popping out. You probably saw articles with Amazon releasing their Fire TV. You have Chromecast coming out. And so churches, that are built around content, we're seeing this as a huge opportunity for them. They're embracing it. And so we got involved with a group called Right Now, and we helped develop their Netflix, if you will, for Bible studies platform. And so that gave us a very good look. We had our teams night and day working around the technology, and then we started seeing how it could be applied to ministry. It's been a very successful product for them. But we started getting into this a little bit more, and we started seeing that the barriers to churches or other ministries were actually starting to come down. But we still saw, your traditional big players in this space, that have built, pretty robust platforms and products are still at the high end of cost and also complexity. So we've seen the trends where, if a church is wanting to do live streaming or pushing their own content, they're starting to jump back into the water, whereas maybe a year ago or even 6 months ago, they viewed it as being too costly or too complex.
So what I'm hearing you saying is this technology you guys have developed is for the common man. Anybody can use it, and it sounds like it's pretty cost effective as well. How's that possible?
Well, Greg, one of the things that we did, we're built for the church, and we say that we're helping out thousands of churches right now. And one of the things that we went to, we saw that the high cost of bandwidth, anytime you're using, we use these terms called gigabyte, right? And it's basically being able to view online if you're passing an HD stream, high definition stream, or even a low quality stream to an iPhone, it costs money, especially if you want to distribute it correctly. And so there's some services out there that are pretty inexpensive, but yet they don't offer the quality that you're looking for. And as you said too, you got these churches, like even the ones that we're a part of and some of our clients, they have massive budgets, especially these churches that have 10, 15,000 attendees. They can really support an online ministry with all the bells and whistles. But what we started getting down into, we looked at how many clients that we had that we were working with and started to almost form a cooperative. And we started working with a lot of them. And we went to the biggest provider of streaming, which was Alchemy, and we negotiated essentially a deal, a buying package from them that allowed us to lower down the cost of bandwidth utilization. So we're able to offer high quality streaming, from the biggest network provider in the country or in the world for that matter, even to the little tiny church that maybe doesn't have a big enough budget or is meeting in a cafeteria, but yet they want their content, they want their sermons online so that people can check out or at least be inspired to go a little deeper, maybe even visit the church, or keep that individual that's in Afghanistan serving connected to his home church while he's away. So,
talk a little bit about your thoughts about Multisite and how this technology can help in that space.
Yeah. Well, Greg, you're pretty much the leader on these areas here, but typically a multi-site church, it's been an interesting phenomenon that's been happening for these past few years, and it's been ramping up significantly. And so, typically a church will either set up almost like a church plant type model where they're going to put a pastor and a group of somebody who's attending their congregation at a larger facility. They're going to group up with families and actually go and almost start a church plant, but they're going to carry the name of that church and be that multi-site. Hey, we meet on the north side of a city, and but we're still part of the same church. And then that pastor will typically preach. Where we've seen it, though, kind of trending, and what we've liked a lot is this idea where you usually have at some of these larger churches or even mid-sized church a very dynamic speaker that's gifted with the Holy Spirit that's able to preach well. And so newer technology today has enabled it to where you get these large projector screens and a nice projector, and you take a worship band and a campus pastor that's kind of essentially hosting the event, and then that church basically is able to broadcast, if you will, their church pastor from the main campus. Very cost effective because you're not paying a large salary or having to recruit, and everybody begins to be on the same page as far as sermon series and what the church is teaching for that given cycle or that given semester, if you will. So what our technology can help, and actually we even use it with Max and others, is that you're able to distribute that content to any of the multi-sites instead of having to carry DVDs around. We have the capability through Alchemy and Media Fusion, the product that we have, that basically it downloads fairly simply, and you can access it from any location. So it's, we use a lot of terms of cloud nowadays, but essentially it's sitting on servers somewhere as the event's happening, recording and saving, and then you can access that. So especially if a multi-site is at a good distance, maybe in another city as well, typically they are moving around DVDs. So, we can help in that way, as well as one of the big things that we know of is that when visitors are looking at a multi-site at a church locally, they usually want to go on and experience what the teaching's like. So they want to see, well, what goes on there, and they'll watch one or two sermons, and they'll make that decision and counsel, whether it's right or wrong. They'll go and attend a church based on a personality in some cases. And so having content online through us would allow a church to basically expose themselves in such a way to where they can get traffic maybe into the doors of that multi-site and grow it, hopefully.
So Media Fusion is the name of the technology or the product. Say a little bit more about why you think this is such a game changer for churches and ministries.
Sure. Well, being in this for a while now, the team developed this over a year, and it was intense development that was going on, and we invested significantly in it. And we really, took the old business 101 model, Greg, and we just said, all right, what am I trying to solve here so that we didn't become another one of? And what we went after was, number one, ease of use. We know that today, if a church wants to do live streaming or put just content online, they got to jump through so many hoops to be able to do that, and they have to include multiple resources. Again, sometimes the church just doesn't have it. So we tacked, the ease of use, so Media Fusion in such a way you can, we use this concept of, I think it takes about 4 clicks and you can be streaming your church online. Very easy for anybody to do, an administrator or just a volunteer that actually would help you with that, but they don't need to be technical anymore. So ease of use was the number one item. The second item was attacking this cost. We talked before about the field out there for all these large competitors or organizations that offer bandwidth and live streaming, they're going to lock you into a contract, multi-year contract, and you're going to pay per gig, north of $1, which was pretty much average. If you Google this, it's readily out there. With our network of churches that are using us today, we were able to drive down that cost. If a smaller church is only pushing a certain amount of bandwidth, we charge 35 cents a gig or 25 cents a gig. And we're seeing that basically the online traffic runs about $20 versus someone having to pay $300 or $400 or $500 with a competitor. So that was the main thing. And then the third with Media Fusion is we allowed a church to basically manage all their media in one place. Usually you had podcasting services with another provider, or you had your images and your PDFs and everything else that you need to do were in different places. Well, Media Fusion, as the name implies, pulls it all together for a church, and it embeds inside their website. So it keeps the same look and feel of your church website, but it houses all your media. So again, we typically see on a Sunday afternoon, that poor web design guy that was having to take all the content and upload it, that's pretty much done, again, within the same type of approach of doing a few clicks. So those were really the 3 areas, was getting ease of use, cost, and making it simple. And then I'll tell you the other thing that we worked on was, encoding video has been always expensive, and we found certain partners that we could work with. And we found that, you can now encode versus you used to have to get these $10,000 servers, which is still today. We're now able to encode at a very cost-effective for churches by using these small, tiny devices that fit in my hand. And they have one little red button here to where you just hit go live, and your HDMI of your switcher or camera would come in the back here, and you're plugged into the internet either through a typical LAN or you're going wireless with it. And, again, a tiny box versus a big, hunking, server and all the support that requires, it's now simple. So it's some exciting stuff that we're seeing. And Media Fusion does solve, some of those headaches that maybe a church had seen before.
I love what you said in terms of 4 clicks to streaming online. That's pretty impressive. And it sounds as if this is a great tool, a great product, a great resource for multi-site churches. Tell us a little bit more how we can sign up for a free trial, how churches will be able to do that.
Well, it's pretty simple. You just go to our website, which is Media Fusion App. It's app.com. And you can find out everything there. But it's, typically we either offer two types of products. It's either the archive or the broadcast. Archive is just that, to where I'm going to put my videos online and not do any live. And then the broadcast version actually allows you to connect for live streaming, and you have all the great tools and assets to that. But it's simple, MediaFusionApp.com, or you can call us. We have a staffed call center here, and it's 877-878-4007.
Very good. That's MediaFusionApp.com for more information on a free trial for the Media Fusion technology. Thanks, Andy, for the time today, and I'm hoping this will serve a whole lot of churches.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it.